Hey folks, how's everybody doing? Can everybody hear me okay? This is Leslie Rogalski going live for the Beadsmith. I am their creative director, and today we are going to do a really fun, fast and easy, my hexagonic Tila bead bracelets with little symbol endings that I'm using as connectors. So just as a part of my evolution here, I started playing around with Tilas and seed beads, and you can see I came up with these great little components, right? So I wanted a way to put them together, and my first thought was just to link them with seed beads like this, which was fun because I could play around with the different colors and things like that. And I actually sewed in a piperi symbol ending on this one. But I like to bring more metal into things. I think it really adds a little bit of an edge. So I took out my bags of, my magnet clasps all stuck together. I took out my bags of the Soros endings, which you can see here, don't replace the bead. They don't replace the Tila bead. They attach to the ends of it, and that gave me a lot of flexibility to add more metal and just link these together with jump rings. So I did a couple versions, and I did a full-length bracelet, which for me was 5 components. And the fun thing about these too is the color varieties are really limited only by the colors of the Tila beads and seed beads that you have. So I did a couple things, and I also did one with a partially finished bracelet end. So it only uses 3 components, needless to say, very fast and easy to get just 3 done. And of course, if you're like me and you like to make gifts or sell your things, the partially finished bracelet end, which has a slider on it, makes things really adjustable. So all right, let's get started. Learn how to make these guys. I'll keep a couple of these on my bead mat so you can see. So for this project, you're going to need the Miyuki Tila beads, which have 2 holes. You'll need size 11 and size 8 seed beads, round seed beads. The delicas don't form quite as graceful a shape. So you have your 11s, your 8s, your Tilas, your Soros endings. You can see here I have them in 4 different colors. I have the rose gold, which I use with copper jump rings and ending. It just matches really nice. Here's the antique brass. I like magnet clasps. They're sticking to everything today. So the Soros endings with jump rings and a clasp, and gold jump rings and whatever clasp you like, lobster, whatever. The first thing you're going to do is check your 2-hole beads to make sure that their holes are clear. And also, Tila beads can be a little bit fragile. So for instance, you want to check to make sure there's no little dings on them. Sometimes they'll be chipped, and you don't want to use those because it can be harsh on your thread and of course doesn't look great. So you're going to toss that away. There you go. And you're going to pick out 6 Tilas. I'm working with a pattern that uses black Tila beads, all ivory size 8s, and I'm varying the colors of the 11s in each of the components. So I'm going to finish my bracelet here today. This is going to be the middle component. You can see I already have orange and yellow, green and blue with the Soros, and I'm ready for my middle component to finish my bracelet. So on a size 10 beading needle with 6-pound fire line, you're going to string 6 times an 11 and a Tila bead in a circle. I've completed this just for expediency for our Facebook Live today. I've sewn it in a circle and sewn through again, knotted my tail to my working thread wove the tail in, and trimmed my tail. So now I have my working thread coming out from between the first 11 I picked up and the last Tila that I sewed, and I had gone around. So I have my inner circle done. Now I'm going to reverse direction. I have been sewing around like this. Get these to flip out so you can see. It's really easy, you guys. So I've been sewing around like this, and now I'm going to reverse direction and sew through the outer hole of the 11, of the Tila bead, sorry. So I'm going to go through this way, opposite direction, right? So yes, the thread runs alongside the Tila here, but you're not going to see it. Now I'm going to pick up 2/8. I'll move them more on camera. And I'm going to sew 2/8 3 times. Actually, let's do this. I'm going to start with a Soros instead. I'm going to pick up a Soros. Now this is like a ladder stitch. So I've picked up the Soros and I'm going to sew through the Tila bead again. So that just attaches right to the end of my Tila. I'm going to do that 2 more times to make sure it's secure, because that's where the tension's going to be when you sew your bracelet. So you're going to come through the Soros and back through the Tila and through the Soros again and back through the Tila. So I'm exiting that outer hole there. Now I'm going to pick up 2/8. So through the next Tila outer holes, the ones that haven't been stitched yet, and we're going to go around the circle. 2/8. And we're going to sew around until we get to the Tila opposite the one with the Soros. So you're going to add 3 sets of your 8s. And now we're going to add the Soros bead. There we go. We're going to add another Soros to that Tila bead, so it's opposite this way. Hi everybody, thanks for tuning in on this Wednesday, Summer Wednesday. All right, so I've picked up a Soros. When you add the Soros, make sure that you're pulling your thread so that the Soros and the Tila ends are side by side and flat against each other. You don't want any thread gaps or anything like that. So you're going to go through a couple times like you did for the other one. 3 times is good, and you'll feel the thread start to get snug. All right. And we're going to fill in the spaces between the remaining Tilas with 8s. 2 8s. Just like this. Now you're going to sew through, don't sew through the Soros, sew through the Tila and the first 8 that you added. And now we're going to add the second round of 11s, putting 1 in between each of the 8s. And that's what just gives this shape, the little corners, so it really looks like a hexagon. So I'm going to pick up another red 11. And by the way, the 11s that I'm using are from a very cool family of beads that are called opaque, rainbow, glazed, frosted, and some combination of those words. And basically, they're this really lovely matte color, and they do come in 11s and 8s. In about 6 or 7 colors, they're very cool. So I'm coming out between 2 8s, picked up an 11. Now I'm going to sew through an 8. A Tila and an 11 and an 8, like that, so that the 11 I picked up pops in between the 2 8s. I'll pick up another 11, go through the next 8 Tila 8, and I'm going to continue all the way around, adding the new 11s in between each of the pair of 8s. Very easy. Very simple. There's not a lot of fiddliness with this component. And I wanted to make these bigger, but the 6 Tila round really seemed to work well. And one more. Now you want to go around the whole circle again, and you're going to sew through the 8 and the 11 and the 8s all the way around again. And you're going to repeat this around until the thread, no picking up new beads, you're just going to keep sewing through until the thread gets snug. And you'll feel it start to get snug. By doing it a lot of times until the thread feels firm in there, you won't have to knot it off. Your thread will be nice and snug. That's the word of the day, snug. Keep going around and around. And you can see I'm having no trouble getting my size 10 beading needle through even the 11s. All the way around. Let's pretend I did that a bunch of times. And then I'm going to snip off right at the component. There we go. Now my component is finished. Get these out of the way. And to finish the bracelet, of course, you would make as many of these as you needed. I would suggest that if you just have a little bit of extra space that you want to fill, you want to make it a little bigger, and adding a component is too big, there's a couple things you can do. You can add 2 jump rings in between and see how long that gets. Or you can add extra jump rings at the end before you put your clasp on. So right now I'm going to bring out 2 silver jump rings, because I'm going to attach it at either side. And I'm going to take 2 pliers. I have my chain nose, and I happen to have a bent nose, and you're going to take your jump ring. And remember, you want to bend your jump rings this way, not this way. And you're going to open up your jump ring a little bit, just enough to hook the loops together. Where's the end? Let's find another one. Watch this. I probably picked up. I did. I picked up closed jump rings. Leslie. All right. I'm going to show you just to show you how to do this. You all know how to put jump rings on. There's the jump ring with an opening. Did you see how I did that like that? And then you're going to hook one end in your component, in your Soros, and one end in your other Soros to connect the two. And you're going to bring that jump ring back together like that. That's it. Well, you would add another jump ring, of course. And then you would add your clasps. I think I said I really like magnet clasps. They make it very easy to get things on and off like that. So that's my Hexagonic bracelet. I've been playing a lot with Tila beads in various forms, and someday I will show you, when I figure out how to write this up, how you can get dimensional. Pretty cool, right? Tilas rock. And so do the symbol Soros endings, which I'm using as connectors. Remember, you can find the Soros and all these beads and other quality Beadsmith beads, tools, and supplies at your favorite bead reseller, because we love them and we're coming back after this long year with the pandemic. So go out and buy beads and make the Hexagonic bracelet. The pattern is free on our I Love Beads page, which is categorized, and you'll find these in the symbols category and in the Tila category. Thank you, Charlotte, in our graphics department. And thank you, the fabulous Leslie Pope, for proofing my pattern so we know it's going to work out for you guys. Excellent. You're welcome for sharing, and everybody be safe. See ya. We love beads.